Hi there, and the story ninjas in the house. So, listening ninjas, go and gather everyone, because this is a story which I'm sure everyone will relate to and can relate to. The name of our story is Why Aren't I in the Photographs? I do know it's a question I've asked, and you've asked it too. Yes, and I think everyone else may have asked it at some stage as well. So, let's hear. Our little boy in the story is called TT, and let's find out which answers and who it asked this question to. And our book is written by Kidi Bebey and illustrated by Christian Kengu Ipanya. It's part of the African Story series published by David Philip Publishers. So, like many families on a Sunday, Titi and his family gathered around for lunch and looked through the family album afterwards. And they were all sitting around looking at the photographs when Titi gets up. He runs across the yard. But he had felt a bit strange, and he noticed that no one else noticed anything else that was odd. His throat felt tight and tears were coming. And they called after him, "What's the matter, Titi?" And soon enough his big sister came running after him. Now he was the youngest in the family. Everyone was much older. And Dina, who was the next older than him, was his lawyer, she called it, because she always looked out for him, and especially when other people teased him. And she even guesses my secret, says Titi. Can you imagine that? Your biggest sister or brother knowing your secrets. But this one she did not know. "Oh, what's the matter, Titi? Why are you so sad?" she asked. I did not want to look at her. I was just too sad. "Titi, what's the matter?" And I answered her with the question, "Why aren't I in the photographs?" And she stared at me. She thought I was being silly. And this is what she had to say. "Of course you are in the photographs, you just haven't looked properly." And I did, I shouted. But I wasn't in the photographs with Grandpa or with Big Sister Etta's wedding. I just wasn't. There's a lot of photographs without me, I said. Anyway, Dina just looked at me, absolutely confused, and a big fat tear rolled down my cheeks. "Oh, gosh. Titi, that's not true," she says. "You are in lots of photographs. But I'm not in the earlier ones. And you were there, but where was I?" Oh, poor little Titi. He's so absolutely sad. Let's see, what does Dina say? And you know what? When she finally understood me, I thought maybe she would answer me. But she burst out laughing. She says, "Well, that's because you weren't there. You hadn't been born." And that was now really unfair. I glared at her and I turned away and I just walked away without looking back. And she kept calling, "Titi, come here. Don't be so angry." I didn't even look at her. I just shouted, "How can you say that? You are my sister. You say you're my lawyer. You're not going to be my friend anymore." Oh, dearest. The next day, it was Monday, and he's off to school. Titi goes to the headmaster and asks, "Mr. Mbala, why am I not in the photographs?" It wasn't easy to explain, and what he said wasn't a big help. Titi said, "Before people were born, you cannot see them." And I did not like that answer at all. I was so upset that after break time, I couldn't even do my lessons, and then I was punished. Oh dear. The next day was Tuesday. So after school, just before going home, I asked my security guard friend who works across the road from the school. And I asked, where are people when they are not yet born? And he was no help either. He just said, "You cannot see people before they are born." That left me even more puzzled. Well, the following day was Wednesday and Grandma came to visit. So we had our supper and we sat down to chat. Now, Grandma is my special grandma. And I ask her, Grandma, if somebody is not born, and if you cannot see them, does it mean they are dead? Because Grandma knows a lot of things. Anyway, she smiled, but she was always kind and patient, and I could see she was being serious about answering me. Titi, my boy, death is not that. Death is what happened to your grandfather. He grew very old and he was very sick. And then he was not there anymore and he died. And she went on. It was as if he had gone away and I was very sad. And after a long while, I accepted that he was gone forever. And now I remember the good times we had together. My grandma's words made me feel so much better. The next day at school, I asked my friend Rosaline, and by the way, it was Thursday. But she didn't understand me. Sometimes when you ask our friends big questions, yes, we may not get the right answer, or anything close to it for that matter. All your brothers and sisters are older than you, she said. They were all born before you. And you are the youngest, and therefore you should be happy. Because they take good care of you, you know. And I really wish I had older brothers and sisters, said Rosaline. How silly of her, I thought. She didn't even answer my question. The next day was Friday. So I waited for Dad to come from work. And I asked Dad if we could have a man-to-man talk. Dad agreed, and we sat down and had a chat. Why aren't I in the photographs, I asked. And where was I? Well, he answered, Titi, what I'm about to tell you now is something that only older children would usually understand, but I believe that you are smart enough to understand what I have to say. You see, I love your mother, and your mother loves me. Now I agreed with that one because I could see it. And when your brothers and sisters had all grown up, we decided we'd like another baby to love. And well, you can imagine you came along. And when he said that, I looked up thoughtfully. Do you know what? Things were getting better. Well, the next day was Saturday. Mommy was at home and she was helping me with my homework. But I still had this question about the photographs on my mind. And I said, you know, Dad said that I was inside of you before I was born. And that's when those photos were taken. So that's why I wasn't in it. And, Mom, then where was I before I was inside of you? And my mom hugged me. And she said these very special words. You were part of my spirit like a beautiful dream, a secret, my love. And I knew that you would be a very kind and handsome boy. I was absolutely relieved. Now, I do know that many moms have told their children that they lived in their hearts before they were born. But just one more thing. Today was Sunday and my sister Etta and her husband came by for lunch. We talked and we chatted and we ate. And after that, we looked at the photographs as usual. But I caught my mom giving Etta a wink. And then I suddenly knew that my big sister was going to have a baby, but shh, because it's still a secret, a big, big secret. And that's for today. Goodbye for now.